My wedding day was supposed to be perfect. The mansion's grand ballroom was decorated with thousands of white roses, crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, and my custom-designed gown had taken 6 months to create. Everything was exactly as I'd planned, until my soon-to-be mother-in-law, Patricia Wellington, decided to stand up during the ceremony. "I object," she announced, her voice echoing through the ballroom. "This marriage is a sham. She's nothing but a gold digger. I'm Sofia Martinez, 32, CEO of Martinez Technologies, though the Wellingtons didn't know that part. To them, I was just the mysterious woman who'd ensnared their precious son Michael at a charity gala last year. They assumed I was a simple event planner, probably because that's what Michael told them when we first met. He'd found it amusing that they never bothered to Google me. "Mom, sit down," Michael hissed from beside me at the altar. His face was red with embarrassment, but I squeezed his hand reassuringly. This moment had been inevitable. I'd just hoped it would come after the ceremony. "I will not sit down," Patricia declared, her designer dress rustling as she stepped into the aisle. "We've done some digging, haven't we, Harold?" She looked to her husband, who stood up reluctantly beside her. Indeed, Harold Wellington adjusted his bow tie nervously. "We hired private investigators. This woman has no visible means of support. She lives in a luxury apartment, drives expensive cars, yet has no apparent job. The only explanation is that she's after our family's money." Murmurs rippled through the assembled guests. I caught sight of my parents in the front row, my father trying not to laugh, my mother covering her smile with her hand. They knew what was coming. "If I may," I said calmly, turning to face the crowd. "Since we're all here, this might be a good time for some introductions." I nodded to my assistant, Maria, who had been waiting for this exact moment. Maria stepped forward, carrying a sleek portfolio. "Mrs. Wellington, Mr. Wellington, perhaps you'd like to see these documents?" Patricia waved them away dismissively. "We've seen enough documents. Bank statements showing mysterious deposits, property records with no clear source of income." "Actually," I interrupted smoothly, "those would be quarterly reports from Martinez Technologies. My company." I emphasized the last 2 words clearly. Harold's face showed the first flicker of uncertainty. "Martinez Technologies? The software company that just won the government defense contract." "The same," I confirmed. "Though we're more than just software. Cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, quantum computing. We're valued at just over $12 million now. Would you like to see the documentation?" Patricia's perfectly made-up face began to show cracks in its composure. But that's impossible. You're an event planner." I couldn't help but laugh. "Is that what you assumed because you met me at a charity gala?" "I was hosting that gala, Mrs. Wellington. My company sponsors it every year." "The mansion you're standing in?" "I bought it last year." "Those mysterious deposits you investigated?" "Quarterly profits from my company's international divisions." Maria began distributing copies of the company profile to nearby guests. I could see the moment realization dawned on Patricia's face as she read the first page, which featured my photo and biography as founder and CEO. "But Michael," she sputtered. Michael said. "Michael respected my wish to be known for myself, not my company," I explained. "Though I'm surprised you never read any business news. My acquisition of Wellington Industries' main competitor last month made quite a few headlines." That revelation hit Harold like a physical blow. Wellington Industries, his pride and joy, had indeed been struggling since my company's strategic acquisition of their biggest rival. He sank back into his seat, his face ashen. "Now," I continued, my voice carrying clearly through the stunned silence, "shall we continue with the ceremony? Or would you like to discuss business? I have some interesting proposals for a merger with Wellington Industries, if you're interested. Their market share has been dropping since our latest innovation in quantum encryption." Michael was shaking with suppressed laughter beside me. We'd planned this moment carefully, knowing his parents would never be able to resist making a scene at the wedding. What they hadn't expected was for their accusations to backfire so spectacularly. Patricia remained standing, though her righteous indignation had deflated considerably. "But why didn't you tell us?" "You never asked," I said simply. "You were too busy assuming I was a gold digger to actually get to know me. Too focused on protecting your son's inheritance to realize he was marrying someone who could buy and sell Wellington Industries 10 times over." My father stood up then, his presence commanding attention. As my company's chief financial officer, he'd helped me build Martinez Technologies from a startup in our garage to a global corporation. Perhaps, he suggested with a slight smile, we should all sit down and let my daughter get married. Business discussions can wait until after the honeymoon. The guests murmured in agreement, and Patricia finally sank back into her seat, her face a fascinating mix of embarrassment and calculation. I could practically see her mind shifting, reevaluating me not as a threat to their fortune, but as a potential business ally. The ceremony proceeded, though not quite as originally planned. When the minister asked if anyone objected to the union, a ripple of laughter went through the crowd, and Patricia seemed to shrink in her seat. At the reception, Harold approached me with an almost sheepish expression. Those merger proposals you mentioned can wait until I return from my honeymoon, I finished firmly. Today is about family, not business. Family, he repeated thoughtfully. Yes, I suppose we are that now. Indeed, I agreed. Though you might want to explain that to your wife. She's currently in the garden, I believe, Google searching my name and looking increasingly distressed. Harold hurried off to find Patricia, leaving me with Michael, who pulled me onto the dance floor for our first dance as husband and wife. You were brilliant, he whispered as we swayed to the music. The look on Mom's face when she saw your company profile. Worth every second of planning, I agreed. Though I almost felt bad for your father when he realized who bought Anderson Tech. Michael chuckled. He's probably already drafting merger proposals in his head. You know this means they'll never let you miss a family dinner now. Good, I said, resting my head on his shoulder. Because I have plans for Wellington Industries. Big plans. Care to share those plans with your new husband? All in good time, I teased. First, we have a honeymoon to enjoy. Business can wait. The reception continued into the night, with Patricia making increasingly awkward attempts to ingratiate herself with my parents and business associates. I caught her cornering Maria at one point, trying to get details about upcoming board meetings. My mother found the whole situation hilarious. You could have told them months ago, she said as we watched Patricia networking with my company's board members. Where would the fun be in that? I replied. Besides, they needed to learn a lesson about judging people before knowing the facts. And the merger? She asked knowingly. You're really planning to acquire Wellington Industries? Eventually, I admitted. But not as a hostile takeover. As a true merger of families. Once they realized that their son didn't marry beneath him, he married into an alliance that could benefit everyone. Later that night, as the party wound down, I found Patricia alone in the mansion's library, staring at a framed magazine cover featuring me as Tech CEO of the Year. This was here all along, she said quietly. Right in front of us. Sometimes we only see what we expect to see, I replied, sitting beside her. You expected a gold digger, so that's what you saw. I've been horrible to you, she admitted. All those snide comments about your background, your career. Water under the bridge, I assured her. If you're willing to start fresh, so am I. Not just as family, but as business partners. She turned to me, eyes sharp with interest. Partners. Wellington Industries has a strong foundation, but it needs innovation to survive in today's market. Martinez Technologies has the innovation, but could use more established distribution channels. Together, we could dominate the industry, she finished, understanding dawning on her face. Exactly. So what do you say? Ready to be not just an in-law, but a true ally. Patricia straightened her shoulders, and I saw the shrewd businesswoman beneath the society matron exterior. I say, when can we start? After the honeymoon, I reminded her with a smile. Family first, business second. That's the Martinez way. The Martinez-Wellington way now, she corrected, offering her hand. As I shook my mother-in-law's hand, I couldn't help but think how differently this evening had turned out from what she'd planned. She'd intended to expose me as a fortune hunter. Instead, she discovered that her son had married into exactly the kind of powerful alliance she'd always dreamed of. The next morning, as Michael and I prepared to leave for our honeymoon, I received a text from Patricia. Reviewed the preliminary merger proposals. We should talk when you return. Welcome to the family. I showed the message to Michael, who laughed. From gold digger to welcome to the family in less than 24 hours. Must be some kind of record. Amazing what a little due diligence could have told them months ago, I agreed. But then we wouldn't have had such an entertaining wedding. Speaking of entertainment, Michael grinned. Have you seen this morning's business news? Someone leaked that Martinez Technologies might be merging with Wellington Industries. Your company's stock is up 15% already. I checked my phone, noting several urgent messages from both companies' board members. Looks like your mother's wasting no time. She must have been making calls all night. That's Mom, Michael sighed. Always trying to control everything. Good thing she's met her match then. I smiled, tucking my phone away. But for the next 2 weeks, no business talks. I meant what I said about family coming first. As our car pulled away from the mansion, I caught sight of Patricia in an upstairs window, phone pressed to her ear, probably already planning the merger announcement. Some things would never change, but at least now she knew exactly who she was dealing with. And as for being a gold digger? Well, when you own the gold mine, you don't need to dig for anything. Our honeymoon was everything we'd dreamed of, but the real adventure began when we returned. Merging 2 strong-willed families and their companies would prove to be a challenge worthy of both the Martinez and Wellington names. But that's another story entirely. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.